Okay, YouTube, we are set up here. We have the microphone up and the headphones up here, and I hope it's going to pick me up talking and also pick up the radio. I know this is not a good setup, but it's the best I can do on this short notice. We're hooked up into my Variac back there, my isolation transform Variac at 120 volts. We have this on AM broadcast band 0.54 to 1.35. And I have it at 1.3, which is 1300 AM, my local talk radio station here in Albany, so that I don't get copyright problems from playing music, as they don't play any music other than commercials. So let me just get that out of the way. I have the RF. The RF gain is also the on-off switch, and the audio gain is on 0. We'll turn up the RF gain, crank that to max, and then we'll go up on the audio and see what happens together. First power up of the SP-600. Alright, the dial lights did not light. However, it is making noise.
We're stuck in the mid.
Sorry, it's got some buzzing. I assume that's some capacitors that need attending to. Filter caps, maybe. But I also hear the radio, and I know this is going to be louder to you than me. Let me go down on the RF. Sorry, I'm turning it off now. I know you heard the radio talking. I heard it from across from it in the chair, but there's a buzz. So apparently some capacitors are still leaky in there, but it is working. Or it could be my earphones. I don't know. I'm going to turn it on again. Now the buzz is gone. I don't know what that was. Maybe it's leaky capacitors. Maybe it's something else. But overall, we have a working radio. That's the important thing. So hopefully you can hear me. I'm going to turn this down. Oh, I'm sorry. Hopefully you can hear me over the mic, over the radio. I don't know how loud that is to the mic. That's the big disadvantage of doing this. The meter is bouncing and working. The radio is working.
I worked for GE for a lot of years, and I made a lot more money than the industry.
The only disadvantage is my dial lights are not lit. So what I'm going to do is, this is 600 ohms, and the output to speakers on the back of this is 600 ohms, but I'm going to try to plug it in, and let me get this mic so you can hear me better, because I'm editing this in. I'm going to try to plug into my 8 ohm Heathkit speaker that I use with my HQ129X. I don't know if we'll get any good audio out because it doesn't match the impedance to this thing, but at least then we can listen together and I can try different bands and tune around. It's impossible for me to listen across from those headphones and tune in stations, but it was working. There was a bit of a hum that went away. I don't know why it went on and back off again. That was interesting. But this radio has not been recapped yet either, so it's to be expected there'll be a few little snafus, but at least I know it's functional as it was reported to me when I purchased it. So again, thanks for watching this segment. I'm going to I had to edit this in because I just realized why I have no dial lights. If you look at these metal wings that kind of stick up here, these are actually points where the dial lights would clip in. They would clip to this, they'd have a clip, and the bulb would face down, and there'd be 2 of them, 1 on each side of this, and there'd be 2 for each window down here. And if you look at this drawing, you can see them. That's the top, that's the wire going across, and those are the dial bulbs, and they go down into there somewhere. So that's a mystery. Was this radio never so equipped, or did somebody take them out for some reason? Maybe this was used for candle sign operations, and they wanted to have blackout conditions and not have lights lighting up in case bombers saw the radio light, you know how they did back in the day. That's a possibility. You never know. It's a Navy one. Who knows? Maybe it was on they wanted blackout conditions in the Navy operating room. Who knows? But there's absolutely no wires and no bulbs, so that's something I could probably put in myself, and I think I probably will, because I want to have light up dials so I can operate this thing at night and be able to see it. This radio never had a light, none of the models did, with a light lighting up your signal meter. One mod that I might consider, but I don't even know if it's feasible, is putting an LED in this somehow from behind. I don't know if I'll do that, but I think I probably will string up some dial lights. I'll get some nice cloth cord and some dial light bulbs, and I'll have to have some kind of clip, and I don't know, have to poke around and see and read up on it. It's probably, well, I don't know, but I'm guessing it's either 6.3 or 12 volts. A lot of these were 6.3 volt. They were like 44 or 47 bulbs, which were like 6.3, the same as your filaments on your tubes. And some of them were 12 volts, so it depends on the radio. But that's interesting. I found that kind of unusual, and maybe indicates, as I said, that this thing was used in blackout conditions in the military at some distant past. Thanks for watching. Alright, I'm going to present to you a little conundrum, if that's the correct way to say it. I mentioned earlier it has a 600 ohm output on the speakers, and I actually ordered a transformer from Just Radios that will match this to an 8 ohm speaker that I'll eventually put in here. You will note here in the manual, caution, connect a 600 ohm 5 watt resistor across the audio output terminals when these connections are not used. So obviously I'm hooking a speaker across it, but it's only an 8 ohm speaker. Will that present a problem? I don't know. I'll be perfectly honest, I don't have enough understanding of these things to know what that would do to the radio. The other thought I had, well, okay, what if I put a 600 ohm resistor across that, sorry, I'm moving the manual, and plug in the radio, and plug in the speakers. Will the resistor being across there disable the speaker? Possibly. Again, I don't know. Or would you simply be able to still pick off the audio? So what I've done is put a 675 ohm, which is all I have on hand, across the audio output, and I put speakers on, and we're going to power it up and see what happens. The other option I have now, of course, if that disables the speakers, that resistor, I could pull it off and see what happens. Do I want to risk that when I know that there's an impedance mismatch? I don't know. I don't know what it would do to the radio. I'll be perfectly honest. I just don't have an answer for that. I don't think it's a huge deal to mismatch the audio output, as long as I don't do it for too long. And obviously, if I turn this on and nothing comes out the speaker, I'm not going to leave it on for very long at all. So that's the setup, and we're going to see what happens here. Currently, we have the 675 ohm resistor across, along with the speaker output across, which is 8 ohm. And typically, and I'm sure this is just like all other receivers, when you plug into the headphone output here, it just disables that back one, and it presents your 600 ohms here, which that was with the headphones. So let's see what happens. We're going to turn it on. I still have it tuned to 1300 AM. All right. We have audio. Coming out the Heathkit speaker.
I mean, he showed me yesterday, said he's going to block his Supreme Court nominees. And, you know,
Not a lot of gain, but I'm not surprised because it doesn't match. I thought that's what would happen, but I honestly I wasn't sure. I'm no electronics expert. That you don't have the same amount of audio gain. If I had a 600 ohm match, and when I get that transformer, I think I would have a lot of gain.
Obamacare. They're saying that their slogan now should be "Make America Sick Again."
Okay.
That's what Trump is up to.
So that's AM. Let's try a different band now that we know we can listen together here, and I can do the audio. So we're on the. We're just going to go up to the next band. The next band is going to be probably useless at this time of day. It's morning. 1.35 to 3. That's like 80 meters and 160 meters on the ham radio band. I don't think there'll be much on this band at this time of day. This is a band that is really a nighttime band. Hearing a lot of noise, and I'm not surprised. It is working though. It's simply there's nothing, we're not going to hear anything on it. I don't think. Maybe on 80 meters. Maybe. No, I'm already past 80 meters. I'm up to 160. Oh! Foreign broadcast. Sounds Indian. Let's try the selectivity. That's wide, narrow, real narrow, crystal. The phasing seems to work. It's not going to work with an AM station though. Crystal phasing is more for CW when you're trying to tune out competing signals. We'll leave it on the 8, which is the standard AM. I have to say this tuning just feels awesome. This is a nice weighted gear driven tuner, and this is what this radio is known for.
You know, I tell the kids.
Listen to that.
Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful.
That band's working. Very nice. This is actually this I think would be part of the AM band now. This dips into the AM band here. So these are AM stations on the regular broadcast. In fact, I think I'll hit 1300 again.
This is true even if the inmate lives in prison.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Going up. Right? Yeah, up. So this is 3.45 to 7.4. This will include a 40 meter band of the amateur radio broadcast of amateur radio. This radio does not pick up single sideband good. I can get it in on my other Hammarlund if I really tweak the BFO. This one is not known for that. They actually made later on a single sideband converter for this radio, and the very last model of this radio that was built in the 1960s actually had a single sideband detector on it. They made this radio for a long time, from 1950 to 1962 or 3. And oh, by the way, while I'm thinking of it, I didn't get it on camera, but when I was poking around underneath, I found a date code on some of the capacitors. It was January 1952. 4.6. We may hit some, yeah, we're going to hit some, you always get like these digital signals in the 400 range, 4,000 rather. Some kind of beacon. We'll probably hear some digital signals in here too, perhaps. If I flip the BFO on, well, I'll try that in a minute. Once. That's a digital. Probably some kind of encrypted military digital at this point, 6.4. I'm not tuning in very good. Sorry, I'm going to move this in so you can see this better. I don't know how well that's focusing. Tune it up. Alright, we're in the ham band now. We're getting some Morse code. So let's narrow the filter. And, oh, I gotta flip it to CW. There we go. You hear that noise? That noise is the noise in my neighborhood, that constant noise. We're going to try the limiter. Oh, the limiter's on. Yeah, it's really bad with the limiter off, the noise limiter. My Kenwood has a noise blanker on it that knocks that right out, 100%. But this radio's not gonna. That noise I get on the HF bands during the day, it's horrible. I don't know its source. I don't think it's in my house. And it does go away sometimes at night. I don't know if it's a neighbor's television set. I don't know what it is, but you hear that crackling, that's interference that I get in my neighborhood. It's not the radio. Let's go up to the next band. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. 7.4 to 14. This will include 20 meters. Ham band, which, oh, I got to go back to the wide and go back to AM off CW. Actually, right now we're in the 20 meter range, 14.5 going down to 14. There may not be anybody on right now. Ham bands are better at night, except 20 meters is actually a better daytime band, but I don't hear anything. Let me try this. I do not know how this BFO works. This is the adjustment. There's no actual switch for it. Oh. Interesting. This is the crystal switch, and I noticed this is to turn the crystals on and off. If you can have set frequency crystals which are off. This is supposed to be screwed to this tightly, and the shaft is supposed to switch it, and it doesn't. But there's a switch here. Look at that. I have a feeling that is supposed to click into position, because that says VFO. It doesn't stay. I think there's something off. I have a feeling it's supposed to sound like that right now. You're listening to, it's getting louder because it's picking up better. That's going to have to be addressed. Yeah. I have no way to lock, it doesn't lock in. You know, it should like click or something and lock over into that position. It's like a cam, but it doesn't click. I wish if I had two hands I'd hold it while I'm tuning, but I can't because I'm holding the camera. That's with AVC on and off. Well, that'll require some. It doesn't sound like this VFO. I don't know if you just turn this and the VFO's on, but if it is, I'm getting the BFO, beat frequency oscillator. I'm getting nothing. This turns pretty freely. I'm wondering if this is not function. Oh, yeah. The knob's spinning freely. The shaft isn't moving, so the screws are loose. So we're not going to do anything with the BFO on this. This is just our initial tune-up, and I'm sorry I'm wasting time, but I'm discovering things. I've never used this radio until now. You're doing it the first time with me. I don't know what the controls are. So that's why that is not even turning that. This, I think, is supposed to be locked in on VFO, and it doesn't lock in. So that's a couple things that I have to address. So let's continue tuning across the band.
Abandoning the concept of entire sanctification and lead in perfect sinless life, but they still use.
I'm going to try to turn this VFO knob. Let's see. Ready? Oh no, it just goes static. So that's obviously not what I want to happen. It wipes out the channel and goes to static. So I guess you don't want it to lock into position. There's no tube in this, by the way. There's a tube that controls this, and that's missing. But it doesn't matter because I'm not using that part of the radio. I'm not putting set frequencies in there. At a later date, I wouldn't mind having a couple crystals. Alright, so that band's working. And I'm going to speed this up. I know this video is becoming very long. I'm going to go to the next band. I'm just trying to verify that all my bands are working. 14 to 29. And we're currently at about 18.5. Going up. There's a lot of light. The light is coming from above, by the way. Oh, yeah, that's better. Yeah, sorry, I could have had the light better all this time and didn't realize it. Let me move my light. The actual dial lights don't work on it, but that's better. There's less glare. $23, $24. 26, 28, this would be 10 meters ham band. 29, better known as 11 meters or CB. Nothing there. Going up. The cool thing about this, when you change the band, it rotates this and it moves the needle up to the next thing until it locks in. 29.7 to 54. That's now at 54. That's the highest. I don't expect to hear a darn thing up here. This would be the old television frequencies, which is really actually like 6 meters on the ham bands. Also in that range. That's why in the old days, back in the 70s, I remember this well, you would hear ham radio guys coming through your TV. And I asked my dad about it. These guys, why are these guys talking through our TV? And they were probably talking on 6 meters. It was very close to the TV frequencies. Six meters is known among ham radio guys as the magic band because it doesn't open up to propagation very much, but when it does, you can get very long bounces, long distance communication. Honestly, I've never been on it. Never made a contact on 6 meters. I don't have a radio that does 6 meters right now for transmitting. And that's the end. Okay, we're up to 30. So there you have it. All the bands seem to be working. The AM's working. The only thing I'm going to do on camera, I want to go back down to 80 meters. There's something called the AM window, where with the gentleman's agreement among ham radio operators, the guys talk on AM because AM signals take up a lot more bandwidth, and they stay around 3.88, 3.7, 3.8, and I might be able to get somebody tuned in on there. Let's try it.
came home yesterday.
There we go.
I had to get the watch and battery put in another watch.
This is a frequency that I would consider getting a crystal for to pop in here, because then you can just turn this crystal on and choose your band, and it would tune that station in, but it's a set frequency at all times. The AM window is a set frequency where these guys go all the time. So these are ham radio operators talking on AM. They could very well be listening on an SP-600 and transmitting on like a, oh, I don't know, like either, oh, I can't think of the name of it. I'll think of it in a minute. I'm drawing a blank. A Viking transmitter. Or a Collins. Collins are good AM radios too. Some of these guys use real high power. They're up to 1500 watts, many of them. Some of the transmitters they use are huge, big tube transmitters. Whoever he's talking to is out of my range. I'm not going to hear him. There's some single sideband. I'm not going to be able to do the BFO again because it's not connected. If I could do the BFO, there's a chance I could make that legible. Not legible, but you'd be able to understand what he's saying. Single sideband. I can almost understand him. He said north. Let's go back to the AM window. Whoever this guy's talking to on AM though is unfortunately out of range of me. So that's 3.8, 3.9. That's actually 3.9. 3.88 is really the AM window, which should be about here. Single sideband. Alright, well, we heard a guy talking on AM anyway. Oh, there he is again. Oh, he went away, faded out. Nope, there he is. There we go. Hear that crackling though? That's my interference.
Which isn't too far away from 115. I don't know.
I'm going to widen this.
I'm running off a pure sine wave UPS here. It's a 1.5 kilowatt UPS.
So I'm at about 3.9. Maybe this frequency's off. You know, I don't know if they're a 3.88. They could be a 3.9 though, for all I know. They don't have to stay at 3.88. There's no requirement for that. Sometimes they're off a little bit. Okay, let's make this video not too much longer. Seems to be working. It needs to be recapped. It's only going to get better as I replace the capacitors, and I'll address the BFO problem, try to get the crystal thing working. I'm going to do a long series on recapping this. It's a very involved job. It's going to be the biggest radio restoration I have ever done, that's for sure. Thanks for watching, and this is Tom with the Hammarlund Model SP-600 JX-6. Oh, and I'll just say this number here, NOBRS 52039, is the order number when the Navy ordered this from Hammarlund. That was their order number, and it appears on all of these. And it's this is the Army or Navy version R74B FRR. And again, I'll get a better shot of this than I did earlier. Maybe last night I tried to get this in camera, but it was pretty washed out. It says 950 USN property 001158. So I'm glad it still has the original Navy tag. A lot of these tags are missing on these. People took them off for whatever reason. I think it's cool to have it on there. It's brass. I'm not, or copper, probably brass. I'm not sure if I want to polish that or leave it. I might just leave it with the old look. I don't think I want to polish it. Anyway, that's something to think about in the future, and thanks for watching. This is Tom saying 73.